evening and thanks very much for joining us. I'm Brittany Ramsey. The OPP is being brought in to reinvestigate the 2015 death of Stacey DeBungy. Flaws in the original probe by Thunder Bay Police led to the Ontario coroner ordering the reinvestigation of his and 8 other deaths of Indigenous people. Today, members of the DeBungy family outlined their concerns about the ongoing role of Police Chief Sylvie Hoth, saying she should have zero involvement in the new process. Corey Nordstrom has details.
It's hard to plead all the time when you have to plead and you get no answers, like what they're gonna do, how they're gonna handle. So how are you supposed to trust a system like that?
Brad DeBungy says he's still being shut out by Thunder Bay Police while he looks into the 2015 death of his brother Stacey. It came in a media conference with other family members of some of the 9 Indigenous people whose deaths are the subject of reinvestigation ordered by the OIPRD. While the media event was ongoing, it was learned that the OPP has been asked to independently reinvestigate DeBungy's death. The family has lost all faith in Thunder Bay Police Chief Sylvie Hoth and want her to fully recuse herself from the reinvestigation.
We have asked a simple and clear question. Can you please confirm for us that the Chief of the Thunder Bay Police Service and her lawyer are not playing a role in the issuance and content of the final report on these reinvestigations? Silence.
As noted by DeBungy and his lawyer, it's a lack of communication that frustrates the families. And without the chief of police going on record to recuse herself, these family members will not believe what they are hearing from the broken trust report of the reinvestigations.
There's an effort in place to make sure that we never know the answers. And I think that's somewhere, that's got to change.
So whatever the outcome, if it's still, they still said Jordan's death was an accident due to drowning, I'm still not going to accept that.
We keep hoping that there is going to be some answers, that there is going to be some sense of closure provided for the families. But at this point in time, we don't see that.
The Office of the Chief Coroner, who is overseeing the 9 death reinvestigations, say the broken trust report has been delayed due to the pandemic, but will be complete at some point this summer. Dirk Heyer's office also state that their executive governance committee will release findings with any real or perceived conflicts of interest addressed. Corey Nordstrom, TBT News.
Tempers boiled over at Thunder Bay City Hall last night as council tackled some contentious issues in a meeting that went past 1 o'clock this morning. The topics included a plebiscite question to reduce the size of council, funding upgrades to the conservatory, and a net zero emission strategy. As Ryan Benazzo tells us, 3 councillors felt compelled to apologize for their behavior.
It was a long, busy evening for city councillors on Monday. They approved in principle an ambitious climate strategy that will frame many future decisions and investment with an eye toward net zero greenhouse gas emissions by 2050. This after a number of organizations and residents expressed support.
We need to be on a different path, a more ambitious path.
We need systemic action to be taken now.
We call on the Thunder Bay City Council to be the leader that our nation needs.
Councillors also set aside $1.4 million for conservatory improvements, hoping to leverage more money from Ottawa and the province to complete up to $4.67 million in facility upgrades. But nerves began to fray as the marathon 6.5-hour session wore on, and tempers boiled over during debate of Councillor Peng Yu's motion asking for a plebiscite question on the 2022 election ballot regarding reducing the size of City Council from 13 to 9. It began with a simple procedural disagreement between Councillor Trevor Gertuga and meeting chair Brian McKinnon.
You do not have to get the approval of the mover to put an amendment on the floor. That's all I'm saying. I've been here 22 years.
You're getting dumber.
I'm getting dumber. Really?
No.
I know the rules. I know the rules. And obviously,
I know you do. I know.
So you're getting dumber. So don't tell me I'm getting dumber.
I didn't say that.
You said you're getting dumber.
Gentlemen,
You just said you're getting dumber.
Okay.
gentlemen, let's move on.
But they didn't.
That was really uncomfortable for me, and I think for all of us.
Yep.
Pardon me, Mr. Councillor.
I have the floor. I have the floor, Councillor Gatuga.
If I'm being called dumb, I'm going to respond. No one deserves to call me dumb. I don't call you dumb. No one deserves to call me dumb.
And it still wasn't over. Councillor Peng Yu then took exception to Mayor Bill Morrow's assertion that some of his comments were out of order.
Why don't you let me talk my concern?
Well, you
Every
did.
time you try to shut me out down, what's the matter with you? You are honored. You are the mayor. Show you are the mayor's ability.
Okay.
Every time you try to interrupt, look, you talk. Every time you talk, you never stop.
Peng Yu, Gertuga, and McKinnon all later apologized for their behavior. Council did vote 7-6 to have legal services vet a possible ballot question asking if voters want fewer councillors, but without a specific number attached. The matter will be debated again in September. Ryan Benazzo, TBT News.
On to COVID-19 now. It's been another strong week for vaccinations in the district, and today's new case count is just 1. According to the Geraldton Hospital, the case is in the Greenstone area. The exposure source is unknown. 3 new variant cases were also reported today, and the active case count has fallen to 60, down from 67 on Monday. As for vaccinations, more than 10,000 doses were administered last week, bringing the total doses given for the district to 114,300. 95,000 people, or nearly 69% of the adult population, have now received at least 1 dose, and 19,000 people are now fully vaccinated. Now that more people are eligible for second doses, the CLE Coliseum Clinic is serving record numbers this week. Clinic staff say they administered around 1,200 vaccines yesterday, and we're expecting another 1,200 today. There's more good news provincially as well. Ontario reporting just 469 new cases. That's the lowest daily total since September 26. The province has yet to begin reopening. That starts on Friday, but some are already looking ahead to step 2 of the plan. Colin DeMello reports.
With parts of the economy set to be unlocked this week, business advocates are already looking beyond the first step and onto step 2.
Restaurants and my retail, we're opening up. But it's the nail salons and the other services, the hair salons that, they're suffering badly as well.
The Ford government moved up step 1 by several days because the province met its COVID-19 vaccine targets, and other health indicators like ICU occupancy and case numbers have been declining. Health experts say the acceleration won't add much risk.
No, if it has no measurable negative impact from a public health standpoint and it can positively help business owners, go for it.
The province says after moving into the first step, it wants to pause for 21 days to observe the impact before moving ahead.
The 21 was to allow, of course, for the vaccination, the numbers to settle. Instead, we don't want to be going to step 2 and say, oops, let's go back to step 1.
But the province seems to have already met some of its targets required to initiate step 2. 72% of the adult population has received the first dose of the vaccine, higher than the 70% needed for step 2. While nearly 10% of adults have been fully vaccinated, that's halfway to the step 2 goal. In the meantime, business owners are struggling.
Everybody's into debt. You've tapped your family, you've tapped your line of credit, you might have remortgaged. Government programs are coming to an end.
While the government has not commented on speeding up the next step, the NDP says it should be based on medical advice.
We have to avoid a 4th wave. It's really critical that we not make mistakes we've made earlier of opening up too soon and then having to shut down again. That said, if public health authorities are comfortable, feel that we're in good shape, then we should listen to their advice.
For now, the province is in preparation mode for the first wave of reopenings. Colin DeMello, CTV News.
Reaction is pouring in regarding the sentencing of 22-year-old Braden Bushby, which made national headlines yesterday. The Thunder Bay resident was handed an 8-year prison sentence after being found guilty of manslaughter earlier this year. Bushby admitted to throwing a trailer hitch at 34-year-old Barbara Kentner from a moving vehicle in 2017. She died 5 months later from her injuries, and her death prompted a nationwide call for justice. Today, we spoke to some Thunder Bay residents.
You know, the 8-year sentence for me felt like it was too light. If I was walking down the road and, you know, if that was my mother, I just don't feel like that was enough punishment for the crime.
It was an awful tragedy that happened to that individual. And both parties are victims of this in a lot of ways. I'm sure that the guy didn't intend on doing too much harm, but his actions did cause harm.
Well, my overall reaction to the 8-year sentence seemed a little disappointing. Similar cases like that have been normally in the 10 to 12, even 14-year range. I just think he got away light.
I think the man's life is ruined, that's for sure, and he has to live with the consequences his whole life. But what he did was inexcusable, and he should have gotten more years in jail, definitely.
I'm okay with 8 years if he served 8 years, but 8 is 5 or 4, that's a little bit different. I think 8 is fair as long as he serves each and every day of 8 years.
I just think what the judge thought was fair in what he did. It doesn't matter who you are. If you've done wrong, then you need to pay the price.
It is enough, but I mean, 8 years, you know, watching your kids grow outside of the jail. But like I said, murder is what it was, and he did kill somebody, and he needs to pay.
A 53-year-old man has been arrested for shooting a flare gun at police during a standoff on Simpson Street last night. Police were called after the accused made multiple threats, including dousing the area in lighter fluid and setting a fire. Occupants of nearby apartments were evacuated and streets in the area were blocked off. The emergency task unit eventually entered the home and the suspect fired the flare gun towards them. He was taken into custody and is expected to appear in bail court tomorrow. Meanwhile, city police have arrested 5 people connected to an assault and drug trafficking investigation. Officers were sent to an address on Cameron Street yesterday afternoon to assist with a male who had been reportedly tied up inside the home. Officers located 5 suspects and a male who had sustained multiple injuries. The suspects, ranging from ages 17 to 29, are charged with assault, forcible confinement, and drug trafficking, as a quantity of cocaine was also seized during the arrest. Well, Sunday's fatal attack on a Muslim family in London, Ontario, is being strongly felt right across Canada, including by the Muslim community here in Thunder Bay. 4 family members were killed after they were run down by a man in a pickup truck who targeted them because of their race and religion. Local Imam Hikma Shirzad says members of his mosque are feeling shock and sadness. He says it reminds them of the tragic incident in Quebec in 2017 and shows that these types of hate crimes continue to occur in Canada. He says those who are visibly Muslim have been recalling their own hate crimes to varying degrees.
People are really grieving. They are somewhat fear. It's important to put things into context as well. I did talk about it being falling in a spectrum, but then there's also, multiple people from who are outside the Muslim community reaching out, sharing their condolences with us for the community. And that kind of also highlights the fact that, although they were Muslim, they were also Canadian, right? So as Canadians, we all grieve, regardless of who it is, when these things happen.
There will be a vigil at 6 o'clock tomorrow evening at Waverly Park for those who wish to grieve together in a socially distanced space. Canadian Pacific Railway crews were on the scene of a train derailment on the Thunder Bay waterfront this morning. A company spokesperson says 2 CP rail cars carrying grain left the tracks at around 11 o'clock last night, just north of Marina Park at the McIver Creek Rail Bridge. At least 3 cars were involved in the incident, with the 3rd unit leaning but not yet derailed. The CP spokesperson says no one was injured and there was no leakage. Heavy equipment and a large crew were dispatched to the site of the mishap. The cause of the derailment is still under investigation. Lakehead University is hosting 9 virtual convocation ceremonies this week, but in recognition of graduates receiving major medals as well as Dean's medals, LU Deans are visiting the recipients to bring a personal congratulations. Mazabine Emu received the Governor General's Gold Medal for achieving the highest academic standing in a master's program. Science and Environmental Studies Dean Todd Randall delivered the award to her home. Emu is a graduate of the Computer Science Master's program and will be heading to Queen's University next to complete her PhD. Erin Chakla was awarded the Dean's Braun Medal for receiving the highest marks in the Faculty of Law program. The medal was delivered by Bor-Alaskan Faculty of Law Dean Eula Hughes, and Chakla will be relocating to Ottawa to serve as a judicial clerk in the federal court.
Thank you to those who have supported me, and a huge congratulations to all of my classmates. What we've done, particularly during the pandemic, is really remarkable, and I'm excited to see the changes that we will make in the world with the platform that we've now gained.
Yeah, I'm extremely honored and pleased to get this award, and I didn't actually believe, because Lakehead University is a place for many young talented students, so it has definitely come to me as a surprise, and I'm extremely honored to personally receive this award from Dr. Todd Randall, our Dean.
The Dean's Medal for the Faculty of Social Sciences and Humanities will be delivered to Piper Rasmussen tomorrow, and Francesco Sanchetti will receive the medal from the Faculty of Business on Friday. After 15 long months without any indoor concerts or events, the Thunder Bay Community Auditorium has booked a live show for the facility near the end of the year. Canadian band July Talk was here in Thunder Bay in September 2019 for the Wake the Giant Music Festival. Today, the auditorium announced a July Talk concert on their social media pages scheduled for Monday, December 13th. The 1,500-seat facility has sat vacant since March 2020, and auditorium general manager says he's cautiously optimistic that live shows will be able to return with full capacity crowds.
And we've had nothing booked until now. And this is the first time we actually got a confirmed show on December 13th for July Talk. And tickets will be going on sale to the general public on Friday, June the 25th. And there's a few pre-sales before that. You'll have to check the social media to see what that's all about. But we are extremely happy to be back in the business again and doing what we all love to do.
Very exciting. They were awesome.